Even though two people may share the same zodiac sign, one might suddenly experience a shift in fortune and see life take a turn for the better, while the other keeps running into bad luck, getting stuck no matter how hard they try. So, where does the difference lie? The answer is in their emotions. Each zodiac animal carries a specific type of dominant emotion. It could be anger, fear, sadness, doubt, or hesitation. If that emotion is nurtured and transformed the right way, it becomes a powerful force that helps a person break through and change their fate. But if it is left unchecked, repeating over and over without control, that same emotion will slowly drain their good fortune, block wealth, and knock everything off course. Modern Feng Shui is not just about house directions or lucky charms. More importantly, it is about how we balance our inner energy to realign the flow of luck in our lives. And the very first step is to clearly understand which emotion is influencing you, based on the zodiac sign you were born with. In this video, I am going to share with you a very unique perspective. Every zodiac sign is tied to a specific negative emotion, and that very emotion is silently affecting your luck, your wealth, and your life on a daily basis. You will finally understand why the same challenges keep repeating in your life, and how to properly transform that emotion, using simple, practical Feng Shui tips that are easy to apply, yet powerful enough to shift your destiny from within. Before we begin, drop a positive affirmation in the comments below, like, "I am ready to change my fate," or "I take charge of my emotions to attract good fortune." And if you find this topic helpful, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you will not miss any practical spiritual tips that can help you change your life from the inside out. Now, let us dive into each zodiac sign to discover which emotion is silently influencing your destiny and how to release it in order to unlock prosperity, good fortune, and a brand new chapter in your life. Number 1. Rabbit. There are people who go through many crossroads in life, yet every time a big opportunity comes their way, they hesitate. It is not because they lack the ability, and it is not because they lack desire. It is because the quiet fear inside them is just too overwhelming. People born in the year of the rabbit are often like that. They appear gentle, cautious, kind-hearted, and avoid conflict. But what most people do not see is that behind that calm exterior lies a world filled with constant, lingering worries. It is not an outburst of fear, and it is not loud or easy to spot. It is a quiet, persistent anxiety, like a thin fog that wraps around the mind. Rabbits are highly sensitive to their environment. They are deeply affected by how others look at them, what people say, or even say nothing at all. They can sense when something feels off very early on, but rarely speak up. Why? Because they are afraid. Afraid of hurting others, afraid of being wrong, and afraid of being judged. That is why, when faced with big decisions, rabbits tend to hold back or wait until the opportunity slips away without them even realizing. In emotional Feng Shui, the rabbit represents yin wood energy, symbolizing quiet growth, soft and gentle, but easily swept away by the wind if not rooted deeply. This means if rabbits want to shift their fortune, they must learn to root themselves within, instead of constantly chasing external safety. The rabbit's worry does not usually come from the present. It often stems from the past. A harsh comment during childhood, a betrayal, or a time they felt unheard. These wounds may not seem serious, but they were never fully healed. Over time, they build up into a foggy veil that makes rabbits constantly feel like they are not good enough, not ready enough, or not steady enough. And that very emotion, if left unprocessed, turns into emotional karma, attracting similar situations over and over again, giving up halfway and failing, being misunderstood even with good intentions, and especially losing fortune because of hesitation. So what should rabbits do to change their destiny? The first step is to realize this: absolute safety does not exist. Worrying does not give you control over the future. It only drains your energy and delays what matters most. Start saying enough to the thoughts that pull you down. Write in a journal daily. Spend a few minutes each morning meditating, simply observing your worries without judgment. In Feng Shui, people born in the year of the rabbit should place a healthy green plant in the east direction, the area that symbolizes new beginnings and life. Each morning, open the windows to welcome the early sunlight and use wood-based, essential oils like lavender or sandalwood to calm the surrounding energy. Also, hang a light wind chime by the window, not just to stir up stagnant air, but to gently awaken your spirit whenever the wind passes through. Number 2. Dragon symbol. Among the 12 zodiac signs, the dragon symbol always represents power, fame, and big ambitions. From their presence to the way they act, dragon symbols naturally carry a strong charisma that draws attention. Wherever a dragon symbol shows up, the spotlight tends to follow. No matter the situation, dragon symbols naturally seek higher positions, leadership roles, or public recognition. Because of this, the negative emotion that quietly dominates this sign is not worry or hesitation, but the fear of losing the strong image they have worked so hard to build. It is not easy to detect, because dragon symbols usually appear tough, confident, and unshakable. But behind that pride lies a quiet emptiness, the constant pressure to perform well, to never make a mistake, to never show weakness, and to never fall behind. Whenever the results fall short, or a mistake is made, or criticism comes from others, the emotional impact is immediate. It is not sadness. It is a blow to their pride. They are not angry at others. They blame themselves for letting their perfect image falter. Instead of accepting failure as a natural part of growth, the dragon symbol instinct is to tighten control, push harder, do more, or pretend like nothing happened. But doing this only builds more internal pressure, and often just to avoid being seen as not good enough, many valuable opportunities are missed. Additionally, dragon symbols belong to the earth element, solid and grounded. But if they cling too tightly to their ego, this earth energy can turn rigid and lose its flexibility. The fear of losing face causes energy to get trapped in the body, especially in the chest and shoulders, where the invisible pressure tends to build up the most. To shift their fortune, the first thing dragon symbols need to do is let go of perfection. There is no need to always be strong and flawless. It is okay to feel tired. It is okay to rest. It is okay to begin again. True power does not come from always being right. It comes from staying calm in the face of what does not go your way. To help the energy flow, dragon symbols should add water and wood elements into their space to soften the heavy earth energy that is building up. A small bowl of water placed in the southeast, the wealth corner, can help the energy move more smoothly. Use natural essential oils like sweet orange, agarwood, or sandalwood to calm the nerves, clear the mind, and ease the need to always hold it all together. Also prioritize open, airy spaces, areas with wide views like hilltops, green landscapes, or a bright balcony. Open spaces help loosen the mind, bringing your vision back to the bigger picture, but this time, not through pressure, but through inner freedom. Number 3, rat. Among all the zodiac animals, the rat is the smallest, yet it holds the very first position in the cycle. That is not a coincidence. The rat represents intelligence, quick thinking, adaptability, and strong survival instincts. In any situation, this sign can find a way to adjust, maneuver, and push through. But with that exceptional sensitivity comes a hidden emotional shadow, a quiet fear and self-doubt that lives deep inside. People born in the year of the rat tend to think a lot before taking action. Their minds are constantly analyzing, weighing options, calculating, and comparing everything. On the outside, they may seem confident and flexible, but inside, a storm of questions often arises. Am I good enough? What if I make a mistake? What if someone else does it better? What if I fail? These unanswered questions create a constant mental state of tension, worry, and unease. The emotions that dominate the rat do not come from these outside world. They come from within, from a vague, quiet doubt that never seems to stop. It is not because they lack ability, but because their sharp mind is always imagining the worst possible outcome, and the sharper the mind, the more convincing that fear becomes. That is why rats often take a long time to begin anything. They may have a great idea, but hesitate. They may see a good opportunity, but stall. Even when they are ready, they still ask themselves, is now the right time? And in that one moment of hesitation, good fortune can slip away. In emotional Feng Shui, the rat carries the water element, symbolizing constant movement and emotional depth. If this water is not managed well, it can turn into a whirlpool of doubt that pulls down all motivation. Rats must learn to find stillness within, so that their emotions are not dragged into negative scenarios that have not even happened yet. To shift their destiny, the most important thing is to build inner confidence, and not through compliments from others, but through small actions every day. Whenever self-doubt arises, ask yourself, is this the truth or just a feeling? Write down what you have already achieved. Keep a record of the times you overcame challenges. Bit by bit, confidence will no longer be something you seek. It will become a solid foundation within. In terms of Feng Shui, rats should bring more light into their living spaces, especially natural sunlight coming from the north. Hang a small mirror at your desk to reflect and amplify positive energy. You can also wear a piece of tiger's eye or yellow quartz, both symbols of confidence and determination. Each morning, open your windows, stretch your body, take a deep breath, and start your day with a strong affirmation, I can do it. Number 4. Horse. If you had to choose one symbol to represent the spirit of freedom, it would be hard to find anything more fitting than the horse. Open space, speed, inspiration, and momentum, all of it lives within the energy of this sign. Horses do not like to stay still, resist being tied down, and are rarely satisfied with a safe, predictable life. There is always something new to chase, somewhere to go, something to begin, right now. Because of that, horse energy is always lively, strong, and tends to inspire others into action. But this is also where problems can begin, not because they lack strength, but because they often lack long-term direction. They have more than enough passion, but sometimes lose patience when things take time. The most common emotional challenge for horses is getting overly excited at the beginning, then losing interest when quick results do not show up. It is not that they give up. They just stop feeling excited and want to jump into something new and more thrilling. And over time, these unfinished plans and half-baked dreams start stacking up, scattering their energy, and with it, their good fortune. Horses often do not realize that not everyone who slows you down is an obstacle. Sometimes it is your own excitement that burns out opportunities before the timing is right. The inner fire is not the problem. It just needs a long enough runway to reach its full potential. And to create that runway, one thing is essential: discipline. Not the rigid, rule-based kind of discipline, but the conscious effort to filter your energy each day. What is worth your time? What drains you? How can you pause impulsive choices in important decisions? A simple way to start is by breaking your goals into small, clear stages. No need for a big win, just steady progress. The satisfaction of completing a small step will naturally motivate you to keep going without needing to constantly change tracks. In addition, horses carry the fire element. When fire energy becomes too intense, it causes tension and impulsiveness, so it needs to be balanced with the earth element to create stability. Horses should choose environments with neutral tones, earthy colors, soft browns, or pale yellows. Place a grounding stone like tiger's eye or smoky quartz on your desk to help maintain focus. In your home, go for natural materials like wood, raw fabrics, or add wide-leaf green plants in the south, the direction that represents reputation and personal drive. Number 5. Snake. Unlike other zodiac signs that express emotions outwardly, the snake tends to keep everything inside. Joy, sorrow, doubt, and even deep wounds, all are wrapped in silence. It is not that they do not feel, it is just that it is hard for them to trust anyone enough to open up. The negative emotion that governs the snake is not obvious. It is not worry or fear like the rat, not impulsiveness like the horse, and not emotional hurt like the rabbit. For the snake, it is silent defense, always observing, always keeping a safe distance from everything. The closer someone gets, the thinner the gap becomes, but it is always there. This is a defense mechanism formed early on. After experiencing betrayal, being misunderstood, or simply seeing what happens when trust is placed in the wrong person, the snake pulls back emotionally. In its place comes control, caution, and secrecy. Over time, it becomes a habit. Do not share, do not open up, do not let anyone read you. Snakes are excellent at analyzing situations. Their intuition is strong, their senses are sharp. But because of this, they can become overly rational, holding back all emotion to avoid revealing any weakness. Eventually, unexpressed feelings turn into heavy energy that affects their sleep, hormonal balance, and even their overall fortune. In emotional Feng Shui, the snake belongs to the fire element, but it is yin fire, warm, quiet, deep, powerful on the inside, but not visible on the outside. If this fire is not properly ventilated, it builds up and turns into internal heat, leading to long-term stress, difficulty relaxing, and a constant feeling of isolation, even in familiar spaces. To shift their fortune, snakes do not need to change who they are, nor force themselves to open up before they are ready. What matters most is finding a personal way to reconnect with their emotions, whether through creative work, emotional journaling, plant care, or simply talking to someone trustworthy without the fear of being judged. When emotions are acknowledged instead of repressed, the energy field softens and brightens, and fortune begins to flow. In their living space, snakes should use soft lighting, gentle materials, and incorporate water elements like a small fish tank, a still water bowl, or nature paintings with flowing water. These help balance internal energy and ease inner tension. They can also use calming essential oils like jasmine, agarwood, or sandalwood to relax the spirit after a long day. Number 6. Dog. There are people who live with their whole heart, never calculating, always willing to take a step back if it means those around them feel secure. They may not be loud or take the lead, but they are always there when someone needs them. They are not great at expressing affection, but quietly observe and care through the smallest things. That is the essence of the dog, a symbol of loyalty, devotion, and perseverance. Loyalty is a beautiful trait, but when it is not paired with clarity, it can become an invisible burden. Many born in the year of the dog are emotionally driven. Once they place their trust in someone, they hold on to that trust for a very long time, sometimes for life. But the world does not always return that loyalty with fairness. Dedication is easily misunderstood as someone who will always be there. A person who keeps giving will eventually meet someone who keeps taking. Over time, kindness gets used up, and the other person may not even realize it, or worse, come to expect it as something automatic. And then one day, the loyal person finds themselves feeling empty, drained from giving so much and receiving so little in return. Just because someone is kind does not mean they are weak. But when trust is broken, the wound cuts deep. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it leaves long stretches of silence, not because of anger, but because they have lost touch with their own emotions. People born in the year of the dog tend to endure well, but that very endurance can lead them to be overlooked. No one suspects that the strong, patient, reliable one might be the one carrying the heaviest emotional weight. And because they do not want to burden others, those feelings build up, little by little, until the things that once brought joy feel heavy and meaningless. To escape the feeling of being stuck in one-sided relationships, the solution is not to change your nature, but to learn where to place your loyalty. Not everyone deserves a permanent place in your life. Setting boundaries does not create distance, it protects what truly matters. A loyal person also has the right to say no, to walk away, and to ask for respect. In your living space, take time to rearrange items connected to old emotions, gifts from people you no longer speak to, keepsakes tied to regret, or objects you only keep out of habit. You do not need to throw them away, but put them in a hidden corner. This is not just cleaning your home, it is a way to clear your heart. Number 7. The ox is a symbol of diligence, endurance, and reliability. But beneath that sturdy exterior is a heart often torn by the weight of financial pressure, responsibility, and duty. These emotions are rarely shown outwardly. Instead, they are held in. And because so much is held in, there are times when even the ox loses touch with how they truly feel. All that remains is the quiet voice saying, "Just hang in there a little longer." Money is not something they obsess over, but to the ox, it represents safety. If they do not have extra, they must at least have enough. If they cannot splurge, they must at least save. Everything must be secure, planned ahead, and calculated. Even when their hands are resting, their mind is still spinning with questions. How much will this month cost? What gifts should I prepare for the holidays? How do I cover the children's education? It seems there is never a pause. The pressure does not come from others, it comes from the ox's own desire to protect and provide for those they love. Because of that, they can easily burn out without even realizing it. Sometimes an entire year passes without a real vacation. Sometimes their wardrobe becomes so simple, they forget what they once enjoyed. Everything is given up for others, and somewhere along the way, they forget that they too deserve care. It is not easy or necessary to change this nature. What matters more is learning how to share the load rather than carrying it all alone. You do not have to explain everything, but at the very least, let your loved ones know when you are tired, what you are worrying about, and how they can support you. True strength is not about shouldering it all. It is about knowing how to save your energy for the long journey ahead. In your living space, include things that lighten your heart. Natural light, warm tones, and a space where you can simply let go. A comfy chair, a tea corner, or a small plant that needs your care each morning. These simple details help the ox reconnect with themselves, breathe more deeply, and slow down just a little, to remember that they are living, not just carrying the weight of life. Number 8. Goat. The goat is a gentle, soft-hearted sign. They avoid conflict, do not want to upset anyone, and value harmony above all else. But this desire for everything to stay peaceful often leads to a constant state of indecision. It is not that they do not know what they want. It is that they want many things at once, and fear that choosing one means losing the others. And so they end up standing at the crossroads for too long, until the opportunity quietly slips away. In addition, the emotions of a goat are highly influenced by their environment. Surrounded by positive people, they become enthusiastic. Around negative energy, they become anxious. A single offhand comment can ruin their day. One poorly worded critique can shake their confidence. The more they analyze, the more hesitant they become. The more they want to be right, the more they fear being wrong. In the end, they grow exhausted. Not from action, but from all the things that have not even happened yet. Indecision may seem harmless, but over time, it drains energy. The mind becomes like a hallway lined with countless doors, with no idea which one to enter. Day after day, everything is thought about, but little is done. This is not laziness. It is being emotionally stuck between logic, feelings, and a deep desire to be understood. To change your luck, the first step is to release the pressure of making the perfect choice the first time. There is no such thing as a flawless decision. Every choice is a lesson. It either moves us forward or helps us grow for next time. Not choosing is also a choice, but it is the choice to miss the moment. Here is a helpful tip for goats. Start making small decisions every day. What to eat, what to wear, where to go. Each clear choice becomes a little mental workout. Over time, your ability to decide will grow stronger, clearer, and less affected by outside noise. In your living space, create clarity and simplicity. Minimize clutter. The fewer visible options, the calmer your mind will feel. Choose an image to hang on the east wall, perhaps a high mountain, a rising path, or a sunrise. Symbols of clarity, direction, and new beginnings. This is not superstition. It is a gentle way to remind your subconscious, just move forward and you will arrive. Number 9. Rooster. Even a small comment can sting, not because they are weak, but because they remember, especially when something touches their pride. People born in the year of the rooster often appear sharp, quick-witted, polished, and sometimes even a little tough. But beneath that surface is a sensitive heart, easily bruised by things others might overlook. They do not need anyone to raise their voice. Just one wrong look, a moment of being overlooked, or not being recognized for their efforts. It can feel like a quiet judgment carved into memory, and from there, the walls begin to go up. No arguing, no confrontation, just silently closing a door. Roosters find it hard to forgive, especially when they feel disrespected. It is not because they are petty, but because the hurt strikes right at their most vulnerable spot, a sense of self-worth built through effort. It was not easy to earn their place. It took work to show their value. So even a small scratch, even if unintentional, can cause them to shut down emotionally. What weighs on the rooster is rarely something big. It is the small things that quietly pile up. Every time they were underestimated, every time they tried and no one noticed, every time they spoke up and were labeled as difficult. Forgiveness does not come easy to the rooster, not just because they were hurt, but because they have a strong sense of fairness and clarity. Sometimes, forgiveness feels like letting go of something that was never properly resolved, and that does not sit right. To feel lighter, roosters do not need to force themselves to forgive right away. Instead, they just need to release the need to be fully understood by everyone. No one will ever see the full picture, and you do not need to prove your worth to every single person. One careless moment of being ignored cannot define someone who has walked through so much. Number 10. Pig. Others often see someone who is sweet, gentle, rarely angry, and almost never raises their voice. Someone who is easygoing, considerate, and willing to compromise. And because they never ask for much or complain, people often assume they are just easy to please. But behind that kindness is a sadness with no name, a quiet sense of loneliness. Not loud, not dramatic, but always there. No one really tries to hurt them, but small acts of thoughtlessness repeated over time are enough to wear the heart down. They are not angry, just tired. Not resentful, just sad. People born in the year of the pig tend to live for others more than for themselves. They try hard to make everyone around them feel comfortable. They give a little, step back a little, let things go, and that becomes the norm. Slowly they forget that their own emotions also deserve to be heard. They do not like conflict. They do not want to cause trouble. If someone is wrong, the pig will think, "It is fine, I will just let it go." If someone is careless, they will say, maybe they are dealing with their own struggles. Over time, they become someone who always finds reasons to forgive, but no one ever steps in to protect them. This quiet endurance is not their nature. It is a way of living formed after being hurt too many times. Eventually, their emotions start to go numb. Joy does not hit the same. Sadness no longer brings tears, just a quiet stillness, like calm water that no longer ripples. What people born in the year of the pig need is not to learn how to fight back, but to reconnect with themselves, a slow morning, a meal they enjoy without asking what others want, a clear sentence, "I am not okay." That alone opens a window for their heart to breathe again. The pig is a symbol of prosperity, but not the kind others enjoy while they suffer silently. When they begin to live for themselves again, when they are no longer afraid to show joy, sadness, anger, or exhaustion, that is when their positive energy starts to return. Number 11. Monkey ideas are always flowing. The mind constantly branches off in every direction. New plans, fresh inspirations, things to start right now. They sit down to focus on one thing, but their brain is already running to the next. They are hearing one story, but already thinking of another. That is the signature energy of the monkey. Creative, clever, and not easy to keep still. It is not laziness, and it is definitely not a lack of ability. In fact, monkeys are extremely intelligent, but it is exactly that intelligence that causes their mind to move faster than their actions. They can sketch out a brilliant vision, but struggle with the small steps. They start with excitement, but have a hard time finishing. What drains them most is mental chaos. Too many thoughts, not enough action, and giving up too quickly. They start on Project A and suddenly think, maybe Project B is better. They begin on Task C and then get distracted by D. And so the day slips by, nothing gets completed, and the nagging thought creeps in. I cannot seem to finish anything. Their energy becomes scattered, their mind jumps around, but their actions lack grounding. It is not weakness. It is the lack of an anchor to keep them present. Eventually, this leads to a sense of being lost or out of control. On the outside, they seem upbeat and lively, but inside, they feel unsettled. To shift their fortune, the first step is not to reduce ideas, but to fully focus on one small thing at a time. Do less, go slower, but go deeper. Keep a short list, set a clear goal, simplify your space. These may seem like small acts, but they are the foundation that helps monkeys reconnect their thoughts with their actions. They should avoid overly chaotic or noisy environments. Spaces full of voices, bright colors, or electronics will only scatter their focus more. At home, they should create one very simple corner, just a small desk, a comfortable chair, a soft light. It does not have to be fancy. It just needs to be quiet enough for the mind to stop running. Number 12. Tiger. The tiger is born with powerful energy, a natural presence that earns respect without even trying. Decisive, bold. Whatever they do, they want to go all the way. And if possible, do it now. No delays, no beating around the bush. Because of this, tigers are often the ones who take the lead, in both work and emotions. But this drive to be fast, to be strong, to win, often leads to impulsiveness and impatience. They cannot wait on others. They cannot stand delays. The moment things do not go smoothly, their emotions flare up. One wrong tone of voice can trigger anger. One disappointing response can make them walk away. And just like that, many opportunities fall, long before they ever had a chance to grow. When emotions come, they come strong. When decisions are made, they are made with conviction. But afterward, there is often regret for being too quick, too intense. Some relationships fall apart, not because of anything serious, but because the ego refused to bend. Some plans are left unfinished, not due to lack of talent, but from not sticking around when things did not go their way. What holds the tiger back is not their strength, it is their haste. Their spirit is always ready to charge ahead, but life does not always call for speed. Sometimes you need to pause. Sometimes you need to slow down and look more deeply. And sometimes you need to take one step back to win the long game. The more the tiger matures, the more they must learn one essential truth. Real strength does not mean charging into everything. It means knowing how to control yourself. A truly powerful person knows when to move forward, when to stop, and when to stay silent and observe before they roar. In everyday life, the less stimulation, the easier it is for tigers to stay centered. Loud noise, intense competition, or people who speak too fast. These can all trigger their instinct to react. That is when it is time to ground yourself. Not by suppressing your feelings, but by taking a step back so you do not react at the wrong moment. Each zodiac sign carries a deep emotional current, sometimes quiet, sometimes fierce, but always holding a hidden lesson. And when we can face that lesson, our destiny begins to shift. No one is born completely lucky, but everyone has the power to change the course of their life, as long as they understand what is holding them back. Emotions are not the enemy. They are signals, gentle reminders from within. And only when we pause, listen, and understand, can we find the peace to keep going and the strength to welcome something better. So take a moment to reflect on your zodiac sign. What emotion has been quietly guiding your path? And how can you begin the journey of transformation from within, step by step? If this message resonated with you, do not hesitate to leave a comment below. Share your zodiac sign, the emotion you are ready to transform, or simply write an affirmation like "I am ready to change my fate" to send a powerful signal to the universe. And if you would like to continue this journey with me, learning practical Feng Shui and spiritual wisdom rooted in real life, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. We have many deeper conversations ahead, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.